I did want you to mention, though, during your NDE, you came to a river just before you came.
Yes. Yes. After I reviewed the record, again, I asked, how do I get around here? And I was moved to the river. And we sang that little chorus. Yes, we will gather by the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river. It flows from the throne of God. There is a river. And I was taken to the river. And on the other side, this was very interesting. Thank you for reminding me of that. On the other side of this river were hundreds of folks, many of whom I could not recognize from their faces, but I could feel the love that existed between us. Tremendous amount of love. And they were beaming this love, welcoming me into their midst. And then my aunt, who was the most recent person to pass over in my life, she stepped into the river. And she began to walk towards me. And I did the same. So we're moving, wading in the water together. And just as we get very close, and I'm anticipating that we would hug, she looks at me and she says, I'm sorry. They're telling me that you have to return. They're sending you back. And I said, why? And she says, well, they're sending you with a message. And I said, well, there are millions of people back there. They could find somebody there and give them the message. And they said, no, we're sending you back with the message. And the message is, there's more to life than meets the eye. Life is eternal. And with that, I found myself falling at the speed of light, and literally crashed into my body that was still under anesthesia. But in that moment when I crashed, I came awake momentarily. The pain, the ultimate, this body that we reverence so much and we dress it up, it's not a pretty sight. And it certainly is not very comfortable when the spirit enters the body. It was cold, it was clammy, it was smelly. And all that wonderful energy of love and light and resilience and hope and joy disappeared when I entered the body. And now, it's time now to readjust. For the next 3 days, I was completely out of sorts. I suspect, because today I can get in and out of the body quite easily, but I suspect because I crashed into the body, it just completely put me out of alignment. It took about 3 days, feeling very, very, very unaligned and not comfortable at all in the physical body. But when I opened my eyes, there were 2 nurses. I was in a recovery room, and there were 2 nurses sitting at a table. And I guess they were observing me. And they had a radio between them, and it was playing classical music. And as I opened my eyes, I discovered that I could see the notes. I could hear the notes, but I can see them. Every note is tied to a color. Every color is tied to a number. Every number is tied to a mathematical symbol, and they're all moving in unison. They're interacting in unison. And I'm open with my eyes open. I can see how that energy is interacting with these 2 young people who are sitting at this table. And every now and again, a doctor or not a medical personnel may come along. And again, I'm fascinated by the fact that they are absorbing this energy and watching their auric field. We have a field of electricity around us. It's very colorful. So I'm mesmerized. I'm fascinated by this. They hospitalized me for 10 days. And it took that much time for me to get over my absolute distress at being sent back from a place of love and joy and harmony to face a world that it seemed to me that was completely unaligned.
You wrote in your book that following this amazing experience, where you had even regained your ability to see people's auras, you faced 3 years of depression and
serious depression
and 3 attempted suicides. Tell us about that.
Well, of course, once we have gotten the taste of living love as we truly are, it's very depressing to come back to this world.
Yes.
And the depression came because now all of my desire is to return to this beautiful, wonderful place that I experienced. But I have a son, I have a family, and now I'm kind of ashamed of the fact that I'm comfortable with leaving my family behind and going to the other side, you see. That held me in depression for a long time. At the 3rd attempt, I got even more depressed at the fact that I couldn't even kill myself. After the 3rd attempt, I was hauled back to the other side in a dream state. And there I was met by a team of nine guides, I guess, you call them that. And they let me know quite categorically that they will not entertain me attempting to take my life again. And that if I did and I succeeded, they would only slam me back into a baby's body and send me back, which would make life even more difficult because I'd have to learn how to walk, to talk, and et cetera, et cetera. That the way I was returned as an adult into an adult body was infinitely better for me to finish out my purpose. And so from that point onwards, my desire really was to return if only for one experience. And the other desire was to find the truth.
The 3rd attempted suicide, you were saved by your son in a remarkable way, in a remarkably symbolic way. Tell us a little about what he showed you.
Well, this was a day when us women, if we're going to die, we have to clean the house first. So I cleaned the house, I cooked dinner, and I got myself ready, you see, because I had taken the time to determine from a friend of mine who was a nurse exactly how many pills I needed to really make this thing happen. And I fed my son and I sent him outside to play. And I got into the bathroom and I'm standing with a glass of water in one hand, the other hand is the pills. And I'm saying my last prayers before I leave. And I'm asking God that he will take care of my son while I'm gone. And he comes running into the house. Mommy, 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 look what I found. The excitement in his eyes, the excitement in his voice. And when he opened his hand, what he had in his hand was a butterfly halfway emerging out of, it was just amazing. But I looked into my son's eyes and I saw the excitement. He says, mommy, mommy, look, 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 the butterfly is coming out of this worm. And the thought in my head said, and who would explain to him the mysteries of life?